All right, now for this week's homework, week 4, what you're going to want to do is begin your tracing. If you didn't start last week, you would begin your tracing this week. And what you would need to do is download the project templates. And to download the project templates, you would click here or here. I'm going to be downloading the vertical template because my composition is a vertical one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right click here and I'm going to download the linked file as a file to my desktop. And I'm just going to go ahead and now you could put it in your save folder in your don't delete. I'm going to just notice it'll say your name project and 3 final vert. I'm going to take this off and I'm actually going to put my name here. Okay, and then I'm going to hit save. All right, now it should be in my save folder and I'm going to minimize this here. I'm going to go to my desktop and locate the file. It should be in my save folder under my name, and it should be the vertical one here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open this. And now you might notice that it gives you an error. If that's the case, it's because it has this extra extension. Sometimes that downloads, sometimes it won't, it'll open just fine. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to click it so I can delete this part of it. Now, if I hit here, it'll tell me if I want to keep the PS extension or use AI. I'm going to use the AI because I am certain that this is an Illustrator file. And now it removed that extension and I should be able to double click it and it opens up just fine. Now, when it opens up, you will have the file and you'll notice your layers are open here. If they're not, remember to go to Windows and go to Layers and make sure that that's selected. Okay, and you're going to notice that there's an instructions layer and an organization layer and a sketch scan layer. And on the instruction layers, you have this set of instructions. They're turning on and off there. And basically, it tells you how to go about placing your file. And also, the second layer goes about how to organize your file. So I'll turn that one off and turn it on here, just to remind you about layer organization. And then the third layer here is for you to place your scan and then lock it when you're done. So in these instructions here, it tells you how to file, place your document, to browse for your composition, to unlink to check off the link box when that happens, and then to click the place button, and then it tells you to rename your existing layer, and then you go down here and it tells you how to begin tracing your file, and it gives you some kind of tips and reminders on what to put in what layer, what to put in sub layers, and then also goes through a series of reminding you to use all the tools that you've learned thus far. And it just basically gives you little tips and tricks, and it also refers you to the organization layer of this file. And that's basically this layer that we were referring to. Just in case you don't remember, if you want to look at how other files are organized, you could take a look in here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn back on the instruction layers, and I'm going to go back to the instructions. It tells me to go to File, Place, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off these instructions here. All right, and I'm going to go to File, Place, whoops. You'll notice I can't place something right now because it's locked, so I'm going to go to the sketch scan layer and I'm going to go File, Place. I have mine on the desktop and it's just named Robert. Robert is the person who actually did the sketch. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that this is centered. Once I have it centered, what I want to do is I hit lock, and that's what those instructions basically say, and it tells you to rename your layer. It's already named SketchCan. I would try to leave it as SketchCan. All right. Now you notice if I try to draw here because it's locked, I'm not able to. So basically what the instructions tell you to do is to start creating new layers and then to start drawing. So I'm going to go ahead and put this at the very top up here. These I'm basically going to ignore now. You could delete them once you're done with them. I like to keep them there just in case I need to reference them, especially like the organization layer. Okay, so if we wanted to look at like how I'm supposed to organize, what I'm supposed to create layers for and sub layers for. Okay, now basically it's telling me that layers are used to organize the major objects, and then the sub layers are used to organize all those parts of those objects. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and when I'm building, I'm going to turn off these organization. When I'm building, the way that you want to draw usually, and just so that things start laying themselves down in order, is I want to try to draw the objects that are the furthest in the back. So for instance, either this back wall here, or the sky, which is even further behind it, or things that are completely underneath, like the ground is underneath all of these objects. So in this case, I would want to go through and and start drawing the ground. Now I'm not going to worry when I draw the ground. I just draw a box here. Now I'm going to go ahead and select a color, and this is what the instructions also say. Select a color that's going to pop out. So you don't want to use black or gray because everything is black and gray. You want to choose a color that's going to pop out. I'm also going to change the stroke a little bit thicker just so that I can see it. Okay, I don't worry about tracing all alongside of these edges and around the guy's head to do the ground here, any of this, because I know that eventually that line is going to be defined when I create this fountain and place it on top of it. That's going to define this space here. And when I create this guy, that's going to create this border around him. So I don't worry about it. I just know that these objects are going to sit on top of this ground, and that's going to be that's going to avoid me having to do extra work such as tracing all around the edges of these for the ground. Okay, so then I would call this background or ground. I'm going to call it background. Okay, and then in the background I also have this sky back here, so you could just draw the sky back here, and don't worry about choosing a color for it. Again, it's not necessary. Okay, so this one would be the sky. Now if I open this up, you'll notice that I have two layers. One is for the sky and the other one is for the ground here. I would want to make sure I name these, so I'll call this one ground and I'll call this one, just double checking it's it, yeah, sky. Okay, and then you would just continue to draw different things. You could draw all the mountains together and call them mountains, or waterfalls. These are actually waterfalls. Okay, and you would want to build basically the things that are in the furthest in the back and kind of build upward. So one of the last things that you'll be drawing, the last layers or objects that you'll be drawing are the guy, the dog, and the buffalo, because he's in the foreground. He's in the foreground and he's in the foreground. Okay. So you continue drawing these. I'm going to show you an example of what it will look like when you're tracing. I'm going to go ahead and open the file, and I'm going to go to the file where I have it saved here. Here. I'm going to go ahead and open this. All right, now here we have outlines. This is an example of what you're going to want to do. You're not going to want to worry about coloring it. And now you'll notice this is the, let me see if I can grab it here, the ground layer. Oh, see how they start getting tricky to grab here. I bet you I can find it here. I'm going to lock that layer. Make sure that layer's locked. It's part of the background layer. See, for instance, this one is the sky layer. All right. Make sure I name it. And that one is that background, that ground layer. Okay. And now the sky layer, again, like I said, I don't worry that things behind it, that things aren't traced when I do the sky, like right along the edges of the other things, because those things are going to sit on top of it, in particular because of the structure. See if we close all these layers here. The buffalo, the dog, everything goes in order based on what's furthest behind. So this is the background that has the sky and the ground and all of that. And then there's the waterfalls that sit on top of that. And then we have the tap wall. So like when this one eventually, once everything is traced and these things start getting colored in, and this one becomes like a blue color, for instance, I don't worry because these things are going to sit on top of it. I'm just going to change the color of this one as well. We're going to get rid of all the outlines eventually. But basically all these things are going to be sitting on top, and as we start building all of these areas, I'm going to change this one right here, they're going to be the ones that cover up all of this below. Okay, and eventually we're going to get rid of all of the outlines on our entire piece, and it's going to start looking something like that. Okay, I'll show you the example of the file once it's more finished. We're going to go here. Okay, and so I don't worry. See, this is that background layer. It's a big block that's just sitting on top of it. Oops, I can't see that. I got a frame around here. Okay, it's just a big block that's just sitting back there. Okay, again, I don't worry about tracing that little edge around because I know that there's going to be these different objects that are going to be sitting on top of it. Okay, and that's just based on the way that these are built. Okay, and you can always reorganize these. If you don't draw them in that particular order, you can always reorganize them. What's important is that you remember to create layers for the major objects and then sub-layers for the major parts of those objects, okay, so that you can keep things somewhat organized as you move along, okay. Start noticing it starts becoming difficult to select certain things here, so knowing what layer it's in and what it's called is pretty helpful, okay. Now this frame layer I created by using the Pathfinder. I basically did that donut effect where I created a big sheet of paper, and then I cut out a hole inside of it, and that's how we got this, okay. So you don't need to do that. I just put them there because I like to look at a clean composition as opposed to that. But this would print just fine. It would go along the edge of my canvas, okay. So you would just continue this like I mentioned. One thing to keep in mind is to keep your sketch locked if at all possible, okay, so that it doesn't keep moving around as you're tracing. And then also, I'm going to go back to this one here. As you keep your sketch scan locked, if for some reason it starts disappearing on you, what you want to remember is that you're probably transporting it from a computer from your home to the school, and you forget the actual scan. That means that you didn't click that link box when you placed it. If that's the case and you forgot to click the link box, like this one, it'll say link here. What you can remember to do is when you're at home and it is working fine, or unless you have to replace it, you know, meaning file, place it again. What you would want to do is you would want to select that link, and under Window there's this panel called Links, and here it's telling me that it's just a link. If I go here to this little corner and I go to Embed Image, you'll notice it gets this little icon here. That means that the image is embedded. Once that image shows up as embedded, which it should do if you uncheck that link box when you initially place it, it will always show up in there, okay? So now I would want to save this, make sure that I save the file, save. Okay, I just saved it basically where I had it in the save folder, and then you can go ahead and lock your layers again, okay? So just in case you don't do it to begin with and that starts disappearing on you, you want to make sure that you, when you are at home and it is appearing in there, or just go ahead and place it again and then make sure you embed it, okay? Another thing that might happen is if you do have it linked and it's not embedded, if you rename that file, it is going to start looking for a file that was named something else on your desktop, and it's never going to find it. So make sure you just embed it. It's going to save you all the trouble when you go to File, Place. I got to get out of here. Sorry. I'm going to go up here. Okay. Go to File, Place. It didn't allow me to place it over there because the layer was locked. It won't allow you to draw on anything if it's locked, so you always have to remember to unlock it. You want to go in and say that you get that PNG, that file here, the beer garden one. You want to make sure you uncheck this. If that's checked, it's going to link, and if you rename it or if you move it, it's going to disappear on you. So what you want to do is make sure you have that unlinked and then hit place. Okay, I'm going to just cancel. All right, so that is your lesson. Don't try to color in. It's going to be really tempting to color in. You're just going to waste time because then there's going to be things that you need to probably draw on top of it, and you're going to start getting in your own way as you color things in. Okay, so don't color in, just trace. Right? And at the end of this week, after having traced about 75%, if you have it all done, even greater, even better, you want to turn it into assignment for the homework assignment, okay? So load it up into Laulima under assignment week 4. Now this is the time in the semester where people stop turning things in. So what you want to make sure is that you turn in this progress. This is essential. It's one of the major things to show progress. If you don't show progress, then I can't give you feedback or the help that you need. So make sure you turn in something. Something is better than nothing. Ideally, you have what's required, you know, the 75% to 100% traced. But if not, just turn in whatever you have. I want to see where you're going, because otherwise, if I don't see anything, I'm going to assume you have nothing, and I'm going to dock it as if you have nothing. All right. This concludes the homework for week 4, how to trace, how to begin tracing. If you have any questions, iled@hawaii.edu or 808-343-9565.